welcome back to another video. My name is Alizaya and I'm your favorite black transsexual. Get up into the big pair, whatever. I'm back. How y'all doing, girl? You already know what this black transsexual is having to do, girl. We are having to push out this pre-recorded content, girl. Boom shakalaka, girl. I'm sick, girl. I hope you know to God I'm gonna get better, girl. Bada bing, bada boom, girl. It's not giving what it's supposed to be gay. But before we get to today's video, cause God know you guys seen the title. I know I'm a black girl. What are we finna get into today, girl? I need you guys to like, comment, and subscribe because you would never find another ghetto black transsexual like me. Hello, hello, hello. I'm beautiful. You're beautiful. Get up into the big part, whatever. Go ahead and lock in on myself. So y'all, this story time is about the time that me and my friends, made a clubhouse and ended up getting arrested, girl. So y'all, it was like when I was back in, elementary school or whatever, right? You already know what it's supposed to be, gay, girl. I was at elementary school and I had these group of friends or whatever. I'm gonna call them my homeboys or whatever, right? So me and my homeboys, we used to do a lot of rebellious things. I remember one time we was going into creeks, getting turtles, catching turtles, bringing the turtles to school, bringing the crawfish to school, making our own shark tanks, laughing, just doing all the ghettoest stuffs, going into people's houses, slashing people's tires, panhandling, stealing from stores and stuff. I used to be a very bad, rebellious kid. Don't judge me, girl. I lived the life. I told y'all I'm a ghetto black transsexual, bada bing, bada boom. So y'all, it was this one day or whatever, right? We love making clubhouses. We love doing fun creative stuff. We might be bad and rebellious, but at the end of the day we're still children, and at the end of the day we still want to do fun children things, you get what I mean? And so me and my homeboys, we were trying to find a spot to make a clubhouse out of, because we previously made a clubhouse out of this tree at this hospital, but the hospital shut down and they destroyed the tree, so all this stuff came out. So it was just like, well, that was that or whatever, boom shakalaka. So y'all, it was this one day or whatever, right? Tell me why, I went to my friend's house, like my friend's house, with the homeboy group or whatever, right? I went to his house or whatever, right? He was like, oh, such and such is finna come over, and he found a little spot where we can, create a little tree house or whatever, have a little clubhouse or whatever, right? I'm like, okay, bad. Say less. So we ended up starting to hang out or whatever, right? It was all of us, right? So we ended up going down the street or whatever, right? And when I tell y'all, it wasn't far from, his house or whatever. It was like, a couple of blocks down or whatever, right? We went down there, right? I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I was a little spooked out because, y'all, tell me why this boy proceeded to, he proceeded to go into this property. I'm like, is this property abandoned? It looks abandoned, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, it looked abandoned. So, they ended up breaking the window, right? I cannot make this up. They broke the window down or whatever, right? So, we all crawling inside or whatever, right? Not gonna lie, I was like, oh my God, y'all, yes, yeah, like, we finna cut up, like, what? So, we screaming in and out the house or whatever, right? And so we ended up starting to play some music or whatever. I don't know about y'all, but we ended up playing that good old music or whatever, right? So we're playing some music or whatever, right? And then, we're trying to claim the rooms or whatever. So upstairs was going to be their room. This room was going to be that room. That room was going to be theirs. And then my room was just going to be downstairs, like the living room or whatever, right? So it was like, okay, so now we need to furnish this place up. So we need to go find some couches off the street. We need to go find some toys to play with. We need to go find some B words, We need to go find the women, even though, like, girl, I was into the men, but I can't let my homeboys know that. Don't see no shade. So, after that little whole situation or whatever, right, we ended up, leaving or whatever, right? So the following day, right, tell me why, we finally come back or whatever, right? It seemed a little bit off. The window was still broken or whatever, right? But, like, the front door was open. So I was like, something's off or whatever, right? I peeped that, but my homeboys didn't peep that, right? So, we chilling, we brought my big old box of toys because, I had a whole thing of toys. Never saw those toys after this day, no shame. But I had a big, gigantic box of toys. We was playing with the toys. We was playing with Uno cards, girl. We was having the time of our life, just being children, right? Boom shakalaka. So then, all of a sudden, after we get done, making our, sandwiches and stuff and making our BLTs or whatever, right? We was like, we're finna go home to go get some more things and come back or whatever, right? So we crawl out the window, y'all. Tell me why a police dog came around the corner, y'all. Call the laws. So immediately, you know, I'm stuck, girl. I didn't come outside, girl, because I hear woo, 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 woo. Baby, I'm black. I'm not finna come outside. Don't see no shade, right? So, you know, I hear like somebody else's voice that ain't ours, right? And I'm like, what is going on outside, right? So, you know, that's when who's all in there? Who's all in there? I'm like, oh my God, like, it's just me and, you know, one other person. Like, what's going on, right? So, you know, I crawl out the window or whatever because they telling me to crawl out the window, right? Tell me why it's 3 officers, right? 3 police cars, right? They pulled up deep, girl. No tea, no shade, right? And they're like, what are y'all doing in this house or whatever? I'm like, it's abandoned. We made a clubhouse out of it. They're like, clubhouse? You broke into somebody's property. Property? What you mean? I thought this place was abandoned. So then that's when my other homeboy, he, you know, enters the picture. He's like, you know, we were only just, you know, making a clubhouse and we didn't mean no harm and da 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 da. He's like, well, y'all should have did that. Da 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 da. You're damaging property. Where's your parents? And so when he said, where's your parents? I'm like, oh, girl, I'm really finna get in trouble, girl, because my mama don't need to know that I'm breaking into people's properties. She's gonna grab that belt and she's gonna take me to I'll be like, I'm like, no, I don't want to go. No, don't call my mama. So, you know, y'all, you know, he's calling everybody's mothers or whatever, right? And so because my other homeboys were old enough, it's like, I think at 13, you can legally, if you're doing something like this, you can legally go to juvie or whatever, right? I wasn't of the legal age to go to juvie. I was like 9 years old. So, like, they were like 13, 14. You know, I was hanging around those baby kids. No tea, no shade, y'all. Don't judge me, girl. I was a bad child. But, you know, he ended up putting them in handcuffs, right? And so then that's when he gets to me or whatever, right? You know, I'm sitting on the curb, right? And so he's like, I don't know what you're finna do, but you need to get your parents here or you're gonna go too. So I start crying, girl, because I don't know nothing to do. Like, I'm a crybaby, girl. When I get overwhelmed, girl, I start crying. So what did I do? I started crying. I was like, I just want my mama. So, you know, girl, you know, he gave me his phone or whatever because he's trying to shut me up or whatever, right? So, you know, I dialed that little 254 number, right, girl? Boom shakalaka, that's that Waco, Texas number, girl. I called my mama. I'm like, mama, they trying to arrest me. They trying to arrest me. You know how she is. What the did you do this time? She always says this, what did you do this time, right? Because she just knows I'm bad. She just knows I'm bad, right? And it was time for me to go home or whatever. It was already when, like, I don't know if y'all's parents ever said this, but you know when your parent says, come home before the street lights come on? Yeah, she wants you to come home before then. So, like, street lights is already out. She's already worried. And so she gets a phone call that I'm about to be arrested. She's like, I'm on my God way. You better not do nothing else. So, you know, she flying down the motherfucking road, right? And so you already know what she had to do, y'all. She came, she's like, so what did my baby do this time? Da, 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 da. So the officer is explaining to her that, you know, your baby broke into this place or whatever, and that, you know, the property manager is thinking about pressing charges and all this other stuff. And then she's just like, oh my God, like, what is going on? And then this is when she threw me in therapy. Like, she threw me into a therapy session because she was like, something's going on in his brain and I need to figure it out. So, yeah, like, you know, after that, y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I was on punishment for a year. A year! She put me on punishment for a year. So for a full-blown year, I couldn't go outside and play with my friends. All my homeboys were throwing rocks at my windows or whatever, right? The only time I could hang out with my friends was in school. And it was so sad because I was so lonely. But then she took me out for punishment around my birthday or whatever, right? So I had to spend a full year. But, like, girl, I'm not going to lie, y'all. It was so ghetto. Like, no, what the hell? But, like, I love you guys. This was just a cute little ghetto ass video. I don't know. This video might not even be monetized for me, my cussing girl, boom shakalaka. But I'm sick. I'm tired. I was gonna make a, you know, full course video about some DL trade, but I'm sick. I'm tired. I ain't got time for all that, girl. No tea, no shade. But I love you guys. Straight Nicki Minaj, boom shakalaka. That's so fat. Word to my doctor, and I gotta go. Bye, loves.